Hi there, this is Love Johar. Thank you so much for tuning into this channel and thank you so much for watching this video. If you are a fresher and you have not implemented GRC, governance, risk and compliance in your organization or any time before, this video is for you. Okay, so here we will discuss what are the potential pitfalls in the actual implementation of governance, risk, and compliance. Very important video for all of you out there who are trying to implement the GRC framework, any type of GRC framework for the first time. These will help you in the very long term. And please watch carefully and please like and subscribe. Thank you. So here, the first and foremost pitfall which is considered nowadays is inadequate support from senior leadership, which actually leads to resource constraints and limited commitment. So what happens is if the senior leadership is not involved in implementation of any new GRC system due to lack of understanding or due to lack of understanding about their importance of the implementation of GRC. So here the IT security team or any team who is trying to implement the GRC, let's say governance, risk and compliance team or compliance team, they actually struggle to secure the necessary resources and face challenges in enforcing the compliance standards. Why? Because they do not have the proper support from the senior management. There could be a lot of reasons for that. Okay, there could be a lot of reasons for that. There could be monetary reasons for that as well. There could be understanding issues as well, because senior management has to be convinced first. So here, first and foremost, even ISO 27001 also talks about this in the very first and foremost as part of the standard itself. So you have to make sure that you have executive buy-in. Leadership should be engaged early on in this process. Okay, you need to communicate the value of GRC, why you are implementing GRC in your organization. And very important part is aligning the goals of the GRC implementation with the business goals and business objectives. For example, you need to understand what is the business doing for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, what is the business plan, and accordingly mapping the governance, risk and compliance framework with the business plan, making sure that you understand the risks associated with the business plan, making sure that you can convince the stakeholders that this is how you can help in achieving the business objectives securely. Okay, second thing is inadequate risk assessment. Risk assessment has to be performed appropriately, and it should not be skipped and it should not be rushed into. This is something which is very important. I have many videos on this channel where you can find how to do risk assessment. And for example, here a retail company decides to expand its online presence without conducting a proper risk assessment, and as a result they fail to identify the vulnerabilities in their e-commerce platform, leading to a data breach that compromises the customer information. So here, as you can see, since no proper risk assessment was performed, there actually occurs a incident now, data breach, because of which. So a thorough identification of the risks is very important. How to do risk assessment, how to do risk management, how to identify risk, how to understand the risk appetite, how to understand the risk tolerance. Everything has already been discussed on this channel. You can search and find videos for the same. If you are not able to find, ask me in the comment section. I will be more than happy to provide you the same. Okay, now what is the solution? Solution is very simple. Conduct comprehensive risk assessment, thorough risk assessment involving the stakeholders, and accordingly prioritizing the risk based upon the impact and the likelihood, so that you can mitigate them on an early basis. Okay, after that you have silos and lack of collaboration. This is very important because sometimes the governance teams work in silos. Okay, they implement a new security protocol without consulting with other departments such as legal and finance. So your compliance efforts are disjoint because you actually are doing something in the silo. So foster cross functional collaboration between the teams. Okay, and you have to break down all these silos and share information between your teams. That is very important. Complexity overload, overcomplicating GRC processes with excessive documentation and redundant controls. This is very important because if you overcomplicate the GRC with excessive documentation and redundant controls, it will not be able to work. For example, a financial institution introduces overly complex approval workflows for accessing sensitive customer data. As a result, employees struggle to navigate to the system, leading to delays in processing customer requests and potential security vulnerabilities. So here, since you are introducing a lot of controls here, the availability is suffering. If you have seen my video on the freshers where I talk about non technical people joining the cyber security, there is a very recent video that I have created. There I have clearly explained, if you will try to increase the confidentiality part, the availability will suffer. So here it is a clear example of that, which is mentioned over here. So try to avoid the complications, try to make it simple, make sure that you implement the essential controls and use automation where possible, and try to streamline the processes and avoid unnecessary bureaucracy. Ignoring third party risk, this is very important. Sometimes people do not consider third party risk at all. So for example, a healthcare provider outsources its IT services to a third party vendor without assessing their security best practices. Later it is discovered that the vendor experienced a data breach. So here, as you can see, data breach has occurred, compromised all the patient records and violating the HIPAA regulations, because the healthcare provider outsourced without understanding the third party best practices which were followed in terms of cyber security. Here you can see a clear data breach has occurred. So how you can mitigate is, while you are implementing, make sure that you have vendor risk management in place, robust risk management. You have third party security best practices being documented. Contextual obligations are very important in this case, so that you can outline what will be happening in the case of a data breach, who will be suffering the losses, what will the impact, who will be responsible, and all that, and data handling as well. So again, a lot of videos already there on this channel. If you want to understand more about third party risk assessment, I have already created many videos. Feel free to browse through them, and if you're not able to find them, please ask me in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to provide them to you. After that is compliance fatigue. Sometimes multiple compliances are there. For example, a software company must comply with GDPR, CCPA, PCI DSS simultaneously, and due to this, a lot of compliance work is being happening, and resulting in meeting deadlines which are impossible to meet. So here you have to understand that multiple compliance requirements sometimes overwhelm the teams, so leading to a checkbox compliance mentality, where you only have checklists for each compliance and you just check mark them, which is not helping the business in the long term. Why? Because you are not at all aligning the compliance with the business objectives. So what you should do is, you should prioritize the critical regulations, automate the compliance checks, provide ongoing training, and encourage a proactive mindset. And that's how you can encourage a compliance fatigue to be remediated from your teams. That's how you can remove the compliance fatigue. Okay. Lack of training and awareness. Sometimes people do not understand GRC policies that you have recently implemented, because governance is about policy implementation, because employees would not be able to understand. For example, a manufacturing company experiences a phishing attack because employees are not trained to recognize suspicious emails. So this simple lack of awareness leads to malware infecting the entire company network and disrupting operations. So employees should be trained. Employees should understand the GRC principles, why cybersecurity is important, why best practices are important. So you have to conduct cybersecurity awareness sessions within your organization, and you have to understand what is the role of the employee in making sure that the company cybersecurity posture remains good. And here also there are a lot of videos on this channel. Feel free to watch them, how to create the cybersecurity awareness trainings. If you're not sure, you can always ask me in the comment section. Again, box ticking mentality is something that we've already discussed. You need to understand, why are you implementing some compliance. Okay. For example, here an e-commerce company conducts quarterly vulnerability scans to comply with PCI DSS requirements, but fails to address critical vulnerabilities identified in the reports, because they are doing the quarterly vulnerability scan, but they are not remediating those vulnerabilities. They are not fixing them. They are only taking the box for the PCI DSS requirement. So it's not helping the company. Why? Because they are not patching the vulnerabilities. They are not fixing them. They are just ticking the box, so it is not helping them. So make sure you understand why you are implementing a compliance. You have to educate your teams why the regulations are being laid, and why it is very important to reduce the risk and go for continuous improvement. Okay. Ineffective incident response plans. You have to make sure that you have proper well defined plans. Okay. If you do not have incident response plans properly, it will you will actually struggle during the breaches. For example, a financial institution experiences a ransomware attack but lacks a clear incident response plan. As a result, employees are unsure how to contain the breach, leading to prolonged downtime and reputational damage. Here it is very important you develop, test and update incident response procedures. You perform the procedures, you test them, and you update them. You should have clear roles, clear responsibilities, clear communication channels, and escalation paths in place for such incidents. Okay. Underestimating change management. This is a very common pitfall that I have observed very commonly. Okay, GRC implementations often require process changes, resistance to change that can hinder success, because people do not accept change easily. Okay. For example, an insurance company adopts a new GRC software platform to streamline compliance process. However, employees resist such change due to lack of training and understanding of the system's benefits, resulting in low user adoption rates and inefficiencies in compliance management. Because if the change management is not proper, if the change is not communicated properly, you need to address all the concerns of the employees first. You need to make them understand why you are implementing something, and provide appropriate training before implementation of any sort of new compliance frameworks. Otherwise these will fail. Okay. These are very important pitfalls. If you are implementing GRC in your organization, please make sure that you understand all the pitfalls mentioned here. And as always, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.